Good morning. Welcome to Daybreak, and especially welcome to Randy's Corner. We got a special edition of Randy's Corner today. I'm your host, Randy Clark, and today we're going to be talking about safety with fireworks because 4th of July is here, and I have Nate Osgood, the fire chief for Sylacauga Fire Department. I couldn't think of nobody better to talk about fireworks safety.
Well, I'll do my best. I appreciate you inviting me to come on.
Well, thank you so much for coming in. It's 4th of July, whether we like it or not.
It's gotten here quick.
It got here quick. So, I want to ask you a few questions about fireworks safety, and you just throw in anything you want to.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, now, what are 3 fireworks safety rules?
So I would say probably the 3 most important things are, making sure that you've got appropriate adult supervision, making sure that you understand what kind of fireworks you have and, what kind of safety precautions you need to have with that, making sure that you maintain a proper distance away from them, and then, making sure that, especially for the larger fireworks, that you've got, hearing and eye protection while you're out there shooting them off.
Right. Okay, so since we're on fireworks, let's talk about a few of them that's super dangerous. And even though they're cute and pretty and people don't think much about it, those, some of them get very hot.
They do. So, the safety rules, common sense dictates, they change a little bit depending on exactly what fireworks you're using. If you have the cute little tanks that roll across the ground versus the mortars that go up and explode into a big pretty ball, you kind of got to use some common sense between those and how far away from them you need to be. I remember as a kid, we were shooting them off. Me and some of the neighbor teenagers were shooting them off, and we had the pretty mortars that you light and drop in the tube, and they go up. And one of the kids didn't know what they were, so he lit it and threw it into the street. Right. One of those situations where, looking back on it, we were all kind of lucky to walk away with our eyes and fingers intact because, that's where the adult supervision comes in, making sure that nobody's grabbing fireworks and doing something with them they shouldn't be.
Right. Now, let's talk about one in particular that parents think the kids are so they're so cute, playing around. But what you don't realize is how hot they get, and also that can catch your clothes on fire.
That's right. So the sparklers, they burn. Some of them will burn as hot as 3,000 degrees.
That's pretty hot.
It's real hot.
Yeah.
And so there is a significant percentage. I've seen the percentage before, and I couldn't quote it, but it's like several dozen percent. Sparklers account for injuries in kids under a certain age. So they really can hurt you, and kind of one of those situations where you never really think it can happen to you until it does. So,
right.
We're not saying don't do it. We're not saying don't have fun. We're just saying make sure that you're watching your kids. Make sure you're there with them. Make sure, they're not going to reach up there and, grab the burning end of it because kids don't know any better.
Right. And the parents, grandparents, they need to give some kids some safety rules if they're going to let them hold a sparkler.
Yeah, absolutely. No sword fighting with them. You can sit there and spell your name in them, and they look pretty. And again, we're not here to dampen anybody's fun. That's not the goal. We just want you to be safe while you're doing it.
I remember. And you definitely want to hold that sparkler away from your clothes.
Right.
It will catch clothes on fire.
It can. It absolutely can. Absolutely. And, that goes right back to, we start teaching kids in pre-K, stop, drop, and roll. If worst comes to worst and God forbid that happens to somebody.
Yeah. Okay. Now, what is the safest way to do fireworks? I know this is a broad spectrum, but could you give us some tips on what I'm talking about, Chief, is if one don't go off, don't think you can run up and light it again, right?
Sure, yeah, absolutely. So, again, kind of going back to that whole idea of depending on what firework you're dealing with, that safety radius, make sure you're keeping people back. Make sure, you're lighting it and getting far enough back. That's a big thing. Again, many people have experiences as kids of lighting bottle rockets and, you know, throwing them up in the air, you know, but one of them goes off in a way you didn't expect, and you might not have all your fingers. And again, I said it earlier, but kind of that situation where you don't think it can happen to you until it does. And when it does, the results are really bad.
Right. And another one I was referring to is, say, shoot one of the bigger fireworks.
Right.
And they don't all the time go off.
Yeah.
So the safety precaution, don't think you can go up and light it again. It might have a bad fuse or something on it. But also, I'm sure you know this more than I do, there's been instances of people going up trying to light them again and they blow up while they're standing there.
That's right. So, you know, if you have a dud, you have one that doesn't go off, I mean, you've got to treat it like it could go off at any minute. Right. And stay away from it for an extended period of time. And I'm talking, you know, 20, 30 minutes. Right. Just leave it alone. Just leave it out there by itself, and that way, if it does go off, it doesn't hurt anybody.
Right. Good. Now, I guess we kind of mention it one more time. What precautions should be taken using fireworks? Yeah.
So, you know, I mean, if you're shooting off anything that's large, you know, that really has the potential to blow up, you know, on you, you know, eye protection, hearing protection, right. You know, are all things that will, you know, definitely make your 4th of July safer.
Yes, and you brought up a good point. Safety glasses. Mm-hmm. We don't get but one set of eyes, do we, Chief?
That's right. That's right. And you know, like I said, so many people out there have those stories and experiences of having bottle rocket wars or whatever. And you know, as you get older, you look back on it and think how lucky you are that you never got seriously injured in the process. And you know, just trying to maybe stop some of those cycles to make sure that younger people and kids that don't know better don't ever start that.
Right. And one of the points of the show today, I wanted to bring up the small things that can really enter. I was talking to one of the nurses the other day that's worked in the emergency room for years. She said it's unreal, some of the cases that come up there.
Right.
You know. So we talked about sparklers.
Yes.
We talked about little firecrackers. They can damage you too, especially
sure.
Like the little black cats and stuff. It's really powerful. Be super careful when you're handling those.
Absolutely, absolutely. You know, just common sense isn't so common, but you know, just pull out whatever common sense you can and be smart. Be smart when you're shooting off fireworks.
Roman candles.
Yep.
Yeah. And one thing that you brought up, the bottle rockets. There's several safety things that you need to know about bottle rockets. They're pretty and cute and all that, and go up there and blow up, but not always. Be super careful in your neighborhoods, right?
Yes.
We don't want any landing on the roof.
Absolutely. You know, I mean, every holiday that centers around fireworks, you know, we do see an uptick in grass fires and brush fires and woods fires, and you know, they can start a fire just as much as anything.
Right. All right. So, what is a safety radius around fireworks? In other words, I don't guess there's one set one, but could you just tell people a safe radius on if you go out and light one of the big ones, maybe?
Right.
How far should you get back?
Yeah. So I mean, there are all kinds of guidelines for professional displays on how far you need to be back. Of course, if you're shooting them in your backyard, those don't necessarily apply, but certainly the larger the firework, the further away you need to keep people. Right. So you know, if you're shooting off the large fireworks, you know, keeping any spectators or anybody who's you know, not involved in shooting them off, you know, at a very good arm's length, you know, 50 or 100 feet back.
Right.
So that way, if something happens or you light one and you knock the tube over, you know, and it's pointing sideways, you know, there's a safety factor there.
That's when it's time to run, right?
That's right. That's right. Absolutely.
Yeah. You know, I won't mention the town. We had a fireworks show here a couple years ago, and they had all their fireworks stacked up under the table, and they was shooting fireworks off the top of the table. something happened and every one of those under the table went off. Kind of spoiled the fireworks show, but there was a lesson learned there too.
Absolutely, yeah, and that's a great point. You know, if you got a whole pile of fireworks you're shooting off,
Don't shoot one with them.
make sure those are in a safe location while you're shooting them off one at a time, a good distance away.
Right. Now I love the big fireworks shows.
Yes.
Speaking
yes.
of big fireworks show, y'all was Johnny on the spot Friday night.
Well, good. We that's something that we started doing a handful of years ago, was actually shooting those fireworks off for the show, and Chamber of Commerce obviously does a fantastic job putting that stuff on. We enjoy being able to help out.
Well, we enjoying y'all keeping us safe from the fireworks.
Yes, sir.
And speaking of the fire department, that sprinkler y'all got has become the most popular thing in our hometown.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly how we even started that a couple of years back, but however we did, it's obviously, like you said, it's become a big hit.
It has become a big hit.
We enjoy seeing the community impact that has for our local kids being able to get out there and play in the water.
Yeah. Now, I introduced pickleball to our summer camp kids on Tuesdays in Sylacauga, Mondays in Childersburg, and all the kids are talking about the sprinkler at Sylacauga Fire Department.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
They really love it. And
it's great to know that we can have such an impact, even in non-emergency situations.
Yeah, that all kids love the big red fire truck.
Some of us never grow out of that.
Right, well, there you go. But now they're also talking about the sprinkler. When are we going to have the sprinkler? When are they going to do the sprinkler? Well, I don't have an answer for that. You just have to wait till the next event comes
That's right. That's right.
Now, my understanding is we don't have a fireworks ordinance in Sylacauga. As far as when you can and can't shoot fireworks, just use common sense.
Yeah, the police department would be better suited to actually talk about the legal specifics of that, but absolutely, just be smart. Don't shoot them off in your neighbor's backyard. And
Yeah.
You mentioned earlier, not too close to houses. All those safety tips.
Give it a time limit. Be a decent person, but I adhere to other folks going to bed early. Not everybody's off the next day.
That's right.
A lot of people have to go to work, so just be nice about it. And how about pets? I know we hear every year about somebody's dog getting out and getting gone. You know it's coming, so prepare for that, right?
Yeah, I mean, if a lot of pets are sensitive to the noises, and
I understand that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So just go ahead and put them up, keep them inside. Whatever you need to do to keep them from.
But it's coming, Chief. I mean, just get ready for it. And one thing I might be talking about is make sure your pets got a collar on with a name tag, so if it does run off, they can get it back to you.
Sure. Yep. Absolutely.
Okay. Now, before we go, I don't know what all you can say about it, but we had a pretty big fire here in town a week or so ago on them Trace Apartments. Could you speak on that for a minute? Y'all did. By the way, before we get started, I got to give kudos to the Sylacauga Fire Department. They was out there quick and handled everything professionally. Y'all did a really nice job.
Well, I appreciate you saying that. I mean, when we get called out to anything, it's usually somebody's worst day, and
right.
Our goal is simply when we show up that we start making things better and things stop getting worse, and I think we did that successfully in that fire. That was definitely larger than our normal stuff. We get a large incident like that.
It was a huge fire.
A time or two a year, but in between that we have lots of smaller incidents. So we're used to the smaller stuff. The bigger stuff is a little less habitual for us, I guess.
Right.
But
that was a huge fire.
The guys did a fantastic job. We like I said, when we showed up, the fire was already coming through the roof. So we were kind of behind the 8 ball right from the get-go, and the guys did a good job, stopping it with as little damage as possible. Unfortunately, it did displace, a handful of families, and all eight of those units were lost. But at least either from fire or water damage. But it's never fun. It's never a good day when something like that happens. But we're proud to be here to help when it does.
Yeah. While we're on the subject, Chief, I'd like to tell the viewers, those folks lost their homes. Any way you can donate will be appreciated. I'm sure there's several churches, several different organizations that's helping out that will take donations. They lost everything.
They did. I know that SAFE is involved with taking some donations. I know that several community organizations have been involved. I know a lot of community restaurants have been feeding the families. There's the outpouring of the community support for these families has been incredible and really awesome to watch. So often in the fire service, we show up, we put the fire out, our job's done, and we go home, and still can leave people wondering what's next. And the community support for that has been pretty incredible.
One last thing I want to talk about before we leave, and not really concerning fireworks, but it is concerning the fire department. I'm sure you know all about the boat that caught on fire at Logan Martin.
I did.
What advice do you give people? Get off the water during a lightning storm. I don't know the details. All I know is a young man's in ICU up in Birmingham right now, and there was 3 others on the boat, but lightning can strike anywhere, can't it, Chief?
It can, and a lot of people are going to be swimming in the pools, this weekend, and we're in that weather cycle where every afternoon there's pop-up thunderstorms. So, if there's lightning within 10 miles of where you are, you don't have to see it or hear it for it to reach you. So, if there's lightning strike within 10 miles, get everybody out of the water, wait 30 minutes, be safe, because it absolutely, again, it can't happen to you until it does.
Until it does, right. The old saying, thunder roars, go indoors.
Yes.
You have any more?
I don't guess I have any catchphrases for you on that one.
All right. So, but anyway, get off the water.
Yeah.
Go inside. I don't know how much more we can express. That's the second boat here recently. I was reading one 3 weeks ago about a bass boat. A lightning struck a bass boat, and the guy was showing it went all the way down his arm, tore his arm up, and come out his feet.
Yes.
So it's super dangerous.
And that's lucky to only have that much wrong with you when you get struck by lightning.
Lucky to show it to us and tell us about it, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Chief, thank you for coming in this morning.
I appreciate you having me.
Well, we can always use safety tips.
Yes.
I want to thank you and all the firefighters for the tremendous job y'all do, and the sprinkler, protecting us from the fireworks, and thank y'all for what you do, and everybody be safe. This 4th of July, we want to hear about everybody come out good. They still got all their fingers. We're lucky to have ours, right?
That's right. That's right.
Chief Nate Osgood, Sylacauga Fire Department. We'll see you next time.